Americans will spend $40 on a spray can, scrub a rusty bolt for 20 minutes, watch the rust come right back 2 months later, and buy the exact same can again. Meanwhile, on factory floors and in restoration shops on every continent, people reach for a chemical that costs a few dollars a bottle. They brush it on, they walk away, and the rust doesn't just disappear, it gets converted into the thing that protects the metal. Same problem, completely different answer. And most Americans have never heard of it, because the can with the famous logo is the only thing they've ever been shown. What I found will make you question the entire rust removal aisle. While one industry was selling you scent in a spray nozzle, and another was selling you sandpaper and elbow grease, one boring commodity chemical quietly became the default rust treatment for industry worldwide. By answering a simple question, not how do we make this satisfying, not how do we sell a refill every 2 months, but what does an auto restorer or a shipyard actually need from a rusty piece of steel? So I'm ranking the 4 ways people fight rust by whether the rust actually stays gone. Number 4 will surprise no one. Number 1 is something you probably have a version of in your house right now. Let's start with the worst. Mechanical removal sits at number 4. Sandpaper, wire wheels, grinders, and at the top end, sandblasting. And you'd expect it to win. It's the most obvious approach there is. Rust is on the metal, so you take the rust off the metal. It's satisfying. You can see it working. There's no chemistry to understand. But 3 problems. 1, it doesn't reach the rust that matters. Rust hides in seams and pitting, and a wire wheel skates right over it, leaving deep rust to spread under your fresh paint. 2, it removes your actual metal. Every pass of a grinder thins the part you're trying to save. 3, the real version is expensive and you don't own it. The moment you need it on something big, you're paying a shop. And here's the proof. Ask any restoration shop what happens to a car that was media blasted clean and then left in a humid garage for a week. Flash rust, a fine orange film over the whole bare panel, sometimes within hours. That's the realization that should stop you. The cleaner you get bare steel, the more desperate it is to rust again, because rust is just iron trying to return to its natural state. Mechanical removal doesn't win the fight. It resets the timer and hands the metal back more vulnerable than before. Hold on to that flash rust problem. It's the whole reason number 1 exists. So if brute force only buys you a countdown, surely the careful, high-tech method wins, right? Electrolysis sits at number 3, and on paper it looks brilliant. You drop the rusty part in a tub of water with a little washing soda, clip on a battery charger, and let low-voltage current pull the rust off. It's gentle, it doesn't touch healthy metal, it reaches into pits a wire wheel never could. But for real life, it falls apart. It's slow. Hours, sometimes overnight, for one part. It's a whole setup, tub, charger, anode, electrolyte, and it does not scale. The part has to fit in the tank, and the tank has to be near power. A car door maybe, a fence, a trailer, a beam, forget it. And here's the twist nobody mentions. You did everything right, gentle, patient, no metal lost, and the part still comes out wet, bare, and flash rusting in front of you. Same orange film. So the realization that connects this whole video, electrolysis and sanding look like opposites, the brute method and the careful one, but they fail in the exact same place. They both hand you naked metal in a problem you still haven't solved. So if the careful method is too slow and too small, surely the famous one, the can everybody owns, finally wins, right? Now I have to be fair, because this is the one almost every American actually reaches for. The famous penetrating sprays, the blue and yellow can in every garage in the country. And it deserves respect. As a penetrating oil, it's excellent. It frees seized bolts, displaces water, stops new rust on a tool you maintain. The brand earned its place honestly. But here's the problem. That job is not killing rust, it's managing moisture. The oil sits on top of the metal, displaces water for a while, then evaporates or wipes off, and the rust that was already there is completely untouched because the product never had any chemistry to deal with it. And here's the realization that reframes that can in your hand. The famous spray isn't a weak rust killer. It was never a rust killer at all. It's a water-displacing oil that millions of people quietly promoted to a job it never applied for. The rust keeps advancing under the film, the can empties, you buy another one. You're not treating the rust, you're paying rent on it. Quick one, if this is already changing how you look at that can, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel. That's why it sits at number 2. So brute force thins your metal, the clever method doesn't scale, the famous can doesn't actually kill rust, which leaves the question, what does? And this is where the branded rust converter industry quietly disappears from the conversation. You know the products, the small bottles labeled rust converter or rust reformer, sold at a premium in packaging built to look like a breakthrough. Here's the uncomfortable part. Flip most of them over and read the active ingredient. It's the number 1 on this list. The branded converter didn't beat the cheap chemical. The branded converter is the cheap chemical in a smaller bottle with a bigger price and a logo. So who is number 1? The thing that outperforms sanding, beats electrolysis on scale, does what the famous can never could, and is secretly inside the products charging you 10 times more for it? Phosphoric acid. It's the active ingredient in classic navel jelly and in nearly every rust converter on the shelf. Industry has used it for over a century on bridges, ship hulls, pipelines. It's the most used rust treatment chemistry on the planet, and a bottle costs about what one fancy spray can cost. So as promised, number 4 surprised no one, and number 1 is something most of you already have a version of in the house. And I know what you're thinking. Acid? Really? Yes. And here's why it wins. Every other method asks the same question. How do we get the rust off? Sanding scraped it off. Electrolysis pulled it off. The famous can just oiled over it. Phosphoric acid asked a different question. What if we don't remove the rust at all? What if we turn it into the protection? The chemistry is simple enough to say at a dinner table. Rust is iron oxide, soft, flaky, always spreading. Phosphoric acid converts it into iron phosphate, a hard, stable black layer that's chemically done rusting, and that paint actually grips onto. You're not fighting the rust, you're recruiting it. And now the payoff this whole video has been building toward. Remember the flash rust problem, the curse of sanding, the curse of electrolysis? Phosphoric acid doesn't have it because it never leaves bare reactive metal behind. It leaves a finished, sealed, paintable surface. The single weakness that defined every other method on this list simply isn't in this one. And it scales like nothing else here. Brush, dip, or spray, a bolt or a bridge, no tank, no compressor, no shop. The same brown bottle treats a rusty hinge on your back gate and a steel beam holding up a highway. And it works exactly the same way on both. That's the part the other 3 never figured out. Every one of them is a race against time on bare metal, and this one is the only method on the list where time is on your side.